Hello, my name is Matthew, and happy Halloween. Today is Halloween, which means that tomorrow is the beginning of November and also the beginning of our Magic Mountain read-along. Here's my copy, Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann. And the Magic Mountain is just one of those books that is known to be a very challenging reading experience, which got me thinking about books that can be difficult to read or seem to be difficult, or books that just feel very intimidating. And there's a whole host of reasons why um, a book might be challenging or intimidating. It could be that um, it's just a very, very long book, or it's a book that was written a very long time ago, or it's subject matter that you're very unfamiliar with, and a million other reasons. And I thought I would just talk a little bit about um, some of the books that I've read that have been very challenging to me, some books that I've wanted to read and put off, feeling as if I'm not ready to tackle it, or um, just in general thinking that's going to take way too long, or there's many other things that I want to read, all those kinds of thoughts. And I pulled down several books that I've had those similar experiences with, and I just thought it's a good time to talk about how to make some of these things feel more approachable, or actually just be approachable. And I've mentioned on this channel before, um, more often than not, the people that are writing these books aren't really out to trick or confuse you or befuddle you. Um, they're most of the time really trying to just write something entertaining or thought-provoking, or um, anything like that. And it's hard. It's still hard for me, but for years it was difficult to get over that hump and realize um, that um, it's still reading for pleasure. And even books that can be challenging, there is a real satisfaction in the feeling that you're punching above your weight. So even if I'm not getting everything, I know that there are rewards. Um, Now, of course, there's been times where I've gotten so flummoxed that I've just put a book down and thought, I'm not ready for this, or more importantly, I'm really not enjoying it. Earlier this year, I started reading, speaking of Thomas Mann, I read about half of um, uh, Joseph and His Brothers, which is a much longer book by Thomas Mann. And there was too much that I couldn't understand, too much that felt like work. That the narrative almost completely went away. It was a, it's a historical, religious story of uh, the time of Joseph in the Bible. And I put it down and thought, I'm not enjoying this, and I'm not understanding what I'm reading. But uh, there's fun in going for it and trying to read it, and also um, there's also something nice about just saying to yourself, I'm going to put it down. That's not a mark of failure. And anyway, I thought I would show you some books. Um, in December, I'm also having another read along, the Karamazov brothers, or the brothers Karamazov, and here's my copy. And this is such a great example. Um, I've read it 3 times, I believe, and the first time it was like approaching a mountain face. I felt confused. I was not understanding all of the characters. The plot felt like it was dragging. For such a long book, it felt even longer. and there was so little handholds for me to grab onto that um, I just thought this must be the hardest book ever written. I'm never going to understand this, and um, not that a book should require several readings, but the second time that I approached it, I found that I enjoyed it so much more, and I got a lot out of it. And that's not just because uh, I'm rereading the book. It's also all of the experience that I had from the first time to the second time that I've read it. I've read other things. My reading comprehension had gotten better. I was able to focus more. I understood more of the allusions or historical context. And so, um, the easiest thing and the most straightforward thing to say about how to tackle challenging works or how to read things um, that feel very intimidating, the most straightforward answer is just practice and habit, not by reading only challenging works, but reading what you enjoy pretty much every day or on some regular routine, um, that's just building that muscle of um, being able to sit down and pick up a book and be totally swept away by the words on the page. Um, Most people that have their favorite books um, will often say that they wish it could be longer. And the great thing about getting totally immersed in a great big long book is to just be in this ocean and have a much longer experience in a world that has enwrapped you. And like the Karamazov brothers, it could have been twice as long, which is a crazy thing to think before I start reading it. Same thing with the Magic Mountain. You just find yourself um, forgetting that it's supposed to be difficult or forgetting that it's a great big long book. The moment that happens, everything clicks, and you're just um, being held in very capable hands. It's the best feeling in the world. Um, and so I'm not wearing my eyeglasses, and so I'm actually kind of blind right now. Um, but here's an example of a book that seems to be intimidating, or I hear that very often, and it's Don Quixote. Um, Other books along these lines, the Decameron by Boccaccio comes up, where it's so approachable, it's so fun to read, and such a great story full of terrific characters that it's the aura around it. It's the fact that it's a very, very famous name written by a very famous author that everybody knows. It's a brick, and the only challenge is opening up the page. It's so terrific that five pages in, and you'll just be hooked. And the idea that it was intimidating or challenging would feel just ridiculous. That's one version of approaching a book that seems like it's going to be difficult. Um, on the other side of the pendulum, Ulysses by James Joyce. And this is an example of a book that is difficult, a book that was written to be difficult. The author is trying to challenge the reader, and so it's not as easy to approach this um, in the same way that you would approach the Karamazov brothers or Magic Mountain or Cervantes or in any book that feels like it's going to be difficult. And it just depends. If you're a Joyce fan, it's going to be you're going to appreciate the power of the language, and the puzzle box nature of the work will become just enjoyable. But this is not the sort of Ulysses is not a book that I would recommend to anybody. That is almost it seems like a rude thing to do, to say to someone you should just be reading Ulysses. And to a more extreme example, more extreme than Ulysses, is the Kantos by Ezra Pound. And this is an epic poem, uh, but now we're in the territory of a work that is so completely bewildering and turned around that for me, my interest kicks back up. And it's a very difficult work. I wouldn't ever think that I don't ever think that I'm going to understand what this thing is supposed to be, but it's so insane that it's fun to pick up and just flip around. And so the great thing about being a reader is that I get to approach books on my own terms. I can I can read a book front to back. I can open it up in the middle. I can read little portions or passages. This is a book that I used to keep on a coffee table and open it up for a minute for a laugh. Like, just it's full of like 100 different languages, and I don't know. I never know what Ezra Pound is talking about. I have Moby Dick. Okay, I'll show you one last thing, and then I'll wrap up. Like I said, I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know how long this. I don't know how long this is. But look at this giant thing, Les Miserables, by Victor Hugo. And I've actually never read this translation, but look how imposing this thing is. And this is such a great example. I read through the years I read The Hunchback of Notre Dame, or the Notre Dame de Paris, I think, and I loved it. And then at some point I read The Toilers of the Sea by Hugo, which is one of my very, very favorite French novels. Absolutely loved it. I read The Man Who Laughs, and I loved it. And everything that I read by Hugo, I loved. And of course, this is the elephant in the room, which I kept avoiding. I thought it's too big, it's too long. It's a historical novel. Well, most of his works are, but I put it off. And then after I had gone through this whole roundabout, loving everything that he had written, one day I just sat down and said, I'm reading it. Now, it's not my favorite thing that Hugo has read, but it's enjoyable. And when you find that there's a writer that you like, I'm already well acquainted with him, and the intimidation factor went away. I just wanted to read it, and it's a fairly accessible book. It's a big baggy monster, but page to page, it can be a pleasure to read. And very few authors can write something this long that's going to be just bristling with genius on every single page. We sort of have that expectation for these great works, but it's an unbalanced, strange, kind of decadent work. He no longer, obviously, he wasn't editing. He was throwing in everything that he had, and I love that. I absolutely love that. If there's an author that you love, you just want to read everything that they have, the good with the bad. So, I'm not even sure. Honestly, I'm kind of confused. I'm wearing clown makeup. I don't have my eyeglasses on. I can't see the screen. I don't know how long I've been talking. I feel like I've been kind of rambling, but I did want to say that all of the challenges that are around reading difficult literature are things that are very easy to overcome. They have great rewards, and there's such a satisfaction in tackling these whales and monsters and mountains and cathedrals. Uh, they're just written by people, uh, and it's no more intimidating than any other sort of thing. And like I said, you can read it on your own terms. There's no gun to your head. There's no stopwatch. There's no reason that you have to absolutely finish it. Um, there's nothing foolish about not understanding it. You know, any of those things. It's just me in a book. I don't know. So I'm kind of running out of steam, and I'm not sure if I'm making any sense. But I did want to just give some of my thoughts on uh, reading books that can be a challenge. Um, Leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching.